So the last analysis video went well. I've been thinking of other things to analyze, so I decided to look into gaming. Could there be something similar to the fail music theory trend in a popular game? Well, Geometry Dash has two possible video topics that I could come up with. One is the song mashups or replacement songs, but today, I'll talk about the second idea, making harder levels for fun and as a joke. Now, it's hard to say where this originally started. The level Silent Club could be considered a starting point, as it started the Silent Level series and was much harder than levels at the time. Silent Club Step was an even harder level, and with this, more extremely difficult levels would begin to be made. Some of these, such as Cataclysm, were more serious and were made to actually be beaten. On the other hand, levels such as Silent Processing and Silent Acropolis are buffed versions of Blast Processing and Acropolis respectively, and were probably not meant to be beaten at the time. More recently, YouTuber Eric Van Wilderman did a series playing through some buffed versions of RobTop levels. These are aimed to be humanly possible, but still significantly harder than the originals. Another YouTuber, Tried, got involved in this and started making buffed versions, and this is probably where the trend of buffing levels resumed. Tried buffed many of the RobTop levels such as Blast Processing, Geometrical Dominator and Elect Roman Adventures, and other YouTubers such as Juniper also played through these. EVW also made his own buffed version of Elect Roman Adventures, which Tried also played. A bit later, Tried made a top 1 layout called Kratos. A lot of the layout for Kratos was based on extreme demons such as Slaughterhouse and Zakupin Circles, which were two of the hardest demons at the time. There are a lot of 60Hz frame perfect timings and wave sections that resemble the two original levels, so you can clearly tell that Kratos was inspired by Slaughterhouse and Zakupin Circles. A bit after that, we have Stallion GD making a collab level called Silent Dictress. Near the start of making the level, we see that someone copies Retray and changes the game mode to a wave to make it harder, as well as speeding it up. We also see people copying the world's hardest jump and taking Cataclysm and using Align X. And throughout the level, we can see people making parts that are directly inspired by other levels. Around the same time, we have If Retray Was an Extreme Demon by Cool Pizza Man Stuff, another important figure in this trend. Initially, this looks similar to Tried's buffing, but then it suddenly turns into Slaughterhouse. Literally. And of course, we can't forget Vortrox. Vortrox has a series about super buffing levels, and one of the levels, Stereo Extremeness, actually got decorated and is now an actual extreme demon. You know, it's nice that we have some community input and impact with this trend, and I don't really see this as much with the fail music theory trend in the classical music community. So how do people actually buff levels? Back in the fail music theory trend, we had something called culture, where a song would change to a meme song or another fitting song. Kind of similar to that, in Geometry Dash, people sometimes take direct inspiration from other levels. For example, in Tried's buffed Blast Processing, the first wave seems to resemble the extreme demon Arcturus, which has a very infamous dual wave part. Both have the two waves in the same gravity, so in the buffed Blast Processing, even though the layout of the wave is basically the same as originally, the part is much harder because you have less space. Additionally, in some other buffed levels, you have specific jumps taken from other levels, usually Tartarus or Silent Club Step. These jumps are usually frame perfect on 60Hz, and since the community likes to note the number of 60Hz frame perfects a level has, this works in their favor. Another way that people buff levels is by changing the game mode used. Due to the nature of the wave and robot game modes, replacing other parts with these two tends to make the gameplay much harder. The wave game mode tends to have the most frame perfects and can require spam, and the robot game mode can be difficult because you have to time releases as well. And finally, memory and unintuitive hitboxes can also make a level harder, so putting those into the level can make the level harder than it looks. Now, using insights from these levels, here's a layout for a food-themed top 1. I wonder if music has anything like buffing songs into harder versions or something like that.